About that thumbnail, huh? Nothing like a little sensationalism. But really, your cabinets can kill you. And it's a huge pet peeve of mine. They just suck. But the other really, really dangerous thing that literally could kill you is that this latch can open from the inside. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. I know we all have things about our boats that we're quite used to. Even if we don't totally dig them, we use them every day, and how we use them has become natural muscle memory and routine. We might not even notice they're not comfortable or not ergonomic, or they don't move in a natural way, or worse, we might not even notice that they're unsafe or hazardous. Because there's a lot of open water here to discuss, we're going to break this topic down into a couple different vids. One will be above decks, and this one is about below decks. The topic is cabinets, lockers, hatches, doors, and storage areas that are examples of some of these possibly unsafe and or dangerous things I've mentioned, the way these spaces function with their accompanying hardware, and how these things can present unsafe scenarios or hazards. Either actual physical hazards to you or your crew, or hazards to the seaworthiness of your boat, which in turn are, of course, also hazards to you and your crew's safety. And remember, you might be used to how things operate on your boat, which doesn't mean they're safe, but crew probably aren't familiar with anything on your boat. And some of these things we're going to discuss, they may actually exist on your boat. And it may seem like there's no problem with them. It could be that you're so used to using them, you don't even notice there's a problem. Or it could be that you've never even considered how they function and how that might translate to real life scenarios under which they haven't been tested. Unawares of the hidden dangers. Or maybe you felt like you didn't like some particular aspect of something, but always felt like it was too much of a hassle to replace or change, or maybe even that it was irreplaceable. So I would urge you to take a look at these things in this vid today and seriously consider the solutions we're going to discuss when fitting out your yacht, or actually changing them if they already exist on your boat. Because here's the thing, and I can't stress enough how important this is. Nothing, and I mean nothing, should be able to get away from its place when underway, especially if there's weather approaching. This means all compartments need to have secure closures. Closures that stay closed no matter what. And those compartments need to have very good latches or closing mechanisms. However they open and close, they need to work perfectly, and they need to operate safely to prevent injury and be operated easily and quickly by everyone on board, including those who aren't familiar with your boat. I always suggest a tour and tutorial for all new crew on where everything is and how to get to everything, including how to operate all latches and all the closing and locking devices if they're unfamiliar types of devices. Basically, you want to let everyone on board know how to operate all cabinet and storage area hardware and what's in those cabinets. This may not seem like a seriously important topic, and that I might be making a big deal out of it just for a vid idea or for sensationalism, but I will assure you of two things. One, I am very serious about this. These seemingly simple things left unattended to could either injure you or literally kill you in a bad seaway. And I'm going to give you examples. Two, I take this channel and its content very seriously. I won't be using sensationalism to buy views, except in my thumbnails maybe. The purpose of this channel is to help people prepare their yachts for safe, comfortable ocean voyaging. And I am dedicated to those ends. So later, we'll cover examples of these types of scenarios above decks. In this vid, we're only going to look at those things below decks here on Bellicera. Unfortunately, because there's a number of good examples of bad things on her. And we'll also look at some things that we'll pull up off the internet and dissect so we can have a clear understanding of what's available out there in marine world and the hows and whys these things work or don't work. So let's get started. We're going to start here in the galley because there are a number of examples of inappropriate cabinetry and inappropriate latches. This galley cabinetry, while it looks okay and functional, has also a number of problems. Number one, there's no closures over it. There's no doors. So anything in here can just come flying out. If you ended up in a big seaway, even just pitching and rolling, things could come flying out of here. But certainly if you were knocked down or inverted, things would just be all over the place. I'm okay with the construction of this cabinet with these little cutouts in here where you can stick your fingers in and get things out, and they have kind of high fiddles on them to keep things in place. I'm okay with that, but this cabinet absolutely needs doors with, of course, really good fasteners or very good latches. We're going to have a look now at one of what I see to be one of the most frequent infractions and most dangerous infractions on yachts, the reach in from the top refrigerator hatch. And mine is no exception, of course. The boat came like this, and I've been brainstorming it for a while. I put in a new kitchen counter, which raised up the height around the hatch, and I haven't figured out a way to secure this thing and still make it operable, but I will. So the biggest problem with these things that I see is the hatches have no hinge most of the time. Much of the time have no hinge and no locking device. So not only if you're knocked down or inverted or even just in a really rough seaway, not only can the hatch come off and fly around itself, which is a really dangerous scenario. The thing is heavy and has sharp corners on it. Also, all the contents of the refrigerator can come out and be spilled around the boat. So you've got a ham, you've got fish, you've got vegetables rolling around. Maybe you have a bottle in there or bottles in there that come open and break on the floor, or cans that get punctured. And now you've got whatever was in those cans and those bottles all over the boat as well, and possibly broken glass. Any kind of unsafe scenario you could imagine can come out of your refrigerator. Bypassing sliding door. It actually works fine. I'm okay with it as a bypassing sliding door. It has a couple of major problems, however. First is it opens too far. So if you're pitching, the door can slide open. This one closes on this side. The door can pitch open and things can come out. Secondly, there's no way to lock this door. So it can easily slide open all the way this way, or the opposite door can slide all the way this way. So the idea here is to use one of these locking clevis pins. And we'll have a better look at these, but they have a spring-loaded ball bearing in them. They fit quite securely when the hole for them is drilled to its appropriate size. This one is going to be installed right about here. It will go through both doors, and this ring will be hung by a lanyard, possibly here, so that you can just pull the pin stays right there, you can open the cabinet, close the cabinet, reinsert the pin that locks in place with the locking ball bearing, and the cabinet is secure. Also, I am going to be installing stops inside here that will stop this door from opening any further. These drawers, while seemingly okay with the latches that fold over and keep the drawer closed, if you were knocked down, they could easily be flipped right up. This drawer comes open, and all its content comes screaming out of there. It's knives and forks and apple cutters and lighters, things that you definitely don't want floating around on your sole of your yacht while you're in a storm. So while these things actually work okay when underway in a normal seaway, in a bad seaway, I don't like them and they'll be changed out. Actually, I'm okay with these pulls. I kind of like them. They fold out of the way. They're not on the floor. I don't like things like this on the floor, and we're going to look at these in a little bit. But here, they're nice. They fold out of the way. They don't catch your clothes. They're smooth. They don't take up room, which might seem like a kind of a silly thing, but if a bunch of knobs stick out this far, they're things for your knees to hit on. They're just an appropriate pull for a galley drawer. So here we are with the classic hole in the door. One of my biggest pet peeves. Stick your hole in the door, the boat takes a bad lurch, and your finger has nowhere to go and can get broken. The latch for this door is inside, and you reach in and pull on the latch. It's uncomfortable. It's ergonomically uncomfortable. This little hook and chain on here, that's just a piece of crap and is gonna come off if you're inverted or even just knocked down. Could easily pop right out of there, just like that. It's also hanging here, so it's just gonna catch on your clothes or make noise. This handle, while it's not very attractive, is actually quite nice. It doesn't have any sharp edges or anywhere to catch your clothes, and it functions as a handle. You put your fingers in, pull the door, and it opens. The other thing about these stick your finger through the hole in the door and pull on the latch thing, which your finger really has to go all the way, is just no really good way to get in there and pull that and get leverage on it. They just suck. But the other really, really dangerous thing that literally could kill you is that this latch can open from the inside. Something can just come flying up, hit that latch, open the door, and all the contents of your cabinet are now flying around inside your yacht. So here's a cabinet with no latch. No pull on it, that is. No finger hole and no easily accessible pull to pull the cabinet open with. Of course, I'm okay with no finger hole, but this door should have a latch that locks the door securely and opens the door as well. And we're going to have another look at this type of what I call knob and ball bearing, I don't know what they're really called, latch. Actually, this might be a good place to talk about it. I keep a few things in here that are kind of heavy. I have a nice block of white oak in there, and I also have, you can kind of see it down in there, a vise, a metal, thick metal heavy vise. And this kind of latch, while it does seemingly close the door securely, if we were knocked down and that block of white oak or this vise back here came flying at this door, boom, it would pop it right open. And what would you have cruising around on here on the floor? A big, heavy metal vise. Could easily smash your head, smash your foot, or smash out a port light. Some of you may have seen the vid, I think it might have just been a short, on the building and installation of my new nav station. One of the things that I'm actually quite happy with is this knob that I fashioned up here. Now, ordinarily, I might not be so pleased with a knob like this if it could easily flip up. But I have built this, and it may wear out, but currently it works quite well. I have built this so that it has a ton of friction. It does not turn easily, and it only has a very short throw where this hatch to get to the back of the electric panel can open. This little zone right here, any little bit less and it can't be opened. I really like this knob. It's a piece of teak. It looks pretty good. I just fashioned it up on my spindle sander and it works quite well. Here in the main salon, it's no exception. There's a number of unsafe scenarios, unsafe cabinets, unsafe fixtures or no fixtures. Definitely a lot of things to look at here and contemplate the solutions for. This will be one of the latches that I use for the cabinets that are on the backs of the settees. This latch has nice friction movement. It can't really swing open on its own, even inverted, and it will easily hold that latch, hold that hatch in place. Another thing to think about when you're building hatches for your boat is rather than have them hinge up into a position where you'll have to hold them in order to look around in there, it's best to have them hinge down. And then it's just open. You don't have to hold it. You can keep one hand for the boat and one hand digging around inside of the cabinet or the locker. This latch will also be used for the under the settee hatches, like this. And because they're more low profile, the cushions are going to sit on top of them. You won't feel these underneath them. Just talking about how they hinge again, you know, you always want to be practical. Of course, you're not going to hinge this way because you wouldn't be able to get in it. But just wanted to say, you are going to hinge this way, and it can lay open. You can hold it, have a hand for the boat here, and a hand to rummage through your locker. Another cool thing about these latches I neglected to mention is there's a little knob on there, and this thing, the turning mechanism on this clicks over that. It's a little spring-loaded mechanism inside the latch, and it clips over this little knob. There's a little arrow on it, and it clips over that knob. These things are going to be really great. I'm really excited about them. I think they're going to last a long time as well. This little gem is my favorite find. These I will be using for all of the cabinet doors on the boat. What's really cool about them is they basically mount flush. I would love to be able to use them on these inset hatches that are behind and below the settee, but these can only be used on doors that overlay a face frame. You push this in and that pops out. How cool is that? You turn it and it moves the latch. And check this out, it moves in both directions. It's real easy to grab. I mean, it's ergonomically so beautiful. Easy to turn, easy to use, and it's flush. So it doesn't catch any clothes, it doesn't stick out, you don't whack your knee on it, you don't whack your wrist or your elbow on it. They also come with a metal catch. Turn that, it comes right out from underneath that metal latch. Pretty stoked on these things. They're made by Southco. Southco's website isn't so great, and you don't actually buy them from Southco, you find them online. I don't remember if I got these on eBay or Amazon, but it was one of the two. And like I say, I'm really stoked about them. They also come in chrome or stainless steel and like a brushed nickel look as well. Just want to have another look at one of the knob and ball bearing latches. See how easily that door comes open? Here is the knob and the ball bearing catch. And you can see that if something was in this locker and we took a hard, got knocked down or even healing really hard, no problem, that door would just fly right open. What we're going to do on this is use one of the black push in, open, push in, close, turning latches that we've been looking at for the cabinet doors. This is a perfect situation for one of those. It's the perfect solution for this door. This is the hatch in the main salon, the sole in the main salon over the bilge. It would be a hatch, but it's so big, it's really almost the entire sole. It has no securing latches on it. This is only a pull ring. The other two, those are just inspection ports for the old water tanks that were here. And so here's the danger with the ring in the sole. First of all, they can stay open. That is a very dangerous scenario. Think about that scenario as you're traveling through your main salon. Secondly, these hatches, these pull rings, can corrode and they can be really, really difficult to get to or to pull open. This one's, they're just difficult to get to anyway. Got to stick your finger in there. Sometimes you have to stick something in there and pry it if they've gotten corroded. And sometimes you can't even get them out if they've been corroded so much. Ring gone. Broken. Just a little sharp edge right there. Ring works. This is actually a latch. This thing doesn't stay in place. It just pops right out. It can easily come out while underway. And these latches seldom work very well. The tongue is really small. And anytime there's any kind of wood contraction, that little tiny tongue can simply become inoperable. I know we panned by this part of the boat a little bit earlier in the vid, but I wanted to come back and talk about it. I know a lot of yachts have these big open spaces on either side of the main salon, and a lot of people think they're okay. They've got these guardrails on it, but those guardrails do not make them safe. If you're inverted, this guardrail, bam, can just pop right out of there. No problem. And then the books launch. There's a Chapman's piloting book in there, man. That thing weighs probably 4 pounds. Anyway, because I'm starting basically from scratch with Bellicera here, and I have the wherewithal as a woodworker to close these in, I'm going to do that. I'm going to actually make face frames on here and put doors on, and I'm going to use these really awesome latches that we've been looking at on these locker doors, these cabinet doors. If you have open spaces like this on your yacht and you're planning on going offshore, my thoughts are, if you can't do the work yourself, maybe talk to a woodworker that can close these in for you. People don't think about being knocked down or even just taking a real hard heel because you got a strong gust of wind, and these things becoming airborne and just clutter all over the salon sole. But I wanted to point out that as slick as these things are, they do have limitations, right? They can't be used on an inset door. They can only be used on an overlay door. And these are great for the inset doors, hinge and then a latch over it. I've been talking a lot about how things can come out of cabinets or get loose in your salon or anywhere on the boat and kill you. And I know that sounds dramatic, but I'm going to tell you a quick story. A very good friend of mine, the guy actually that I spent 3 years studying with on how to fit out yachts for ocean voyaging, told me a story about when he was in the Queen's birthday storm. Greg was in a West Sail 32. He was very close to the epicenter of the Queen's birthday storm. They had been knocked down a couple of times and rolled once. During one of the knockdowns, Greg was out in the cockpit, hand steering. He had been sailing under his Aries, but the Aries just couldn't keep up when it was surfing down the face of some of these huge waves. And so Greg was out hand steering. His girlfriend was in the galley getting ready to feed him a can of SpaghettiOs. They couldn't heat up any food or anything. He'd been out there for hours and he was cold and he was hungry. She got out a can of SpaghettiOs and set it on the galley counter. And she went for a can opener, took her hand off of the can. The boat was knocked down and the can of SpaghettiOs went flying across the galley and literally smashed open against the coach roof side. So if you think about a can of SpaghettiOs flying at an untold speed, so fast that it could, and with such velocity that it could smash open against the coach roof side, that could easily smash your head, knock you unconscious, perhaps kill you. And so this is why I talk about and place such import on keeping everything absolutely secured in its place when underway, especially during severe weather. All right, so there you have it. That's, I think, a pretty comprehensive look at below decks on Belisara. It's not so much about Belisara as much as it is about your yacht. If you find any one of these scenarios on your yacht, I am strongly advising that you remedy these situations with some of the solutions that we've discussed here. It's really, really important to keep in mind that cabinets that can open will spill their contents into the main salon, and that can create a very, very dangerous, life-threatening situation. So please think about it. Try to use some of these solutions if you can. And also, feel free to reach out to me. My email is in the description of this video below. And I'm happy to consult in any way I can to help you prepare your yacht for ocean voyaging. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. See you soon.